Wait, I can't believe I almost forgot to mention this. Stephen Smith case related to the Alex Murdaugh thing. Stephen Smith's body got exhumed over the weekend. Did you hear about this? Okay, so Sandy Smith, Stephen's mom, had been raising money on a GoFundMe so that she could get his body exhumed and re-examined so they could determine the real cause of death for Stephen Smith. It looks like more and more this case had nothing to do with Buster Murdaugh. Now, it might have had something to do with Alex Murdaugh, but it had nothing to do with Buster Murdaugh. I think. I don't know. Here's the thing, though. Like, maybe Stephen had a relationship with Buster at some point. Who even knows? Although Morgan Dowdy seems to think that he did, but I don't know. Anyway, so Stephen was found dead in the road back in 2015, and the Highway Patrol said it was a hit and run, but there was no evidence that there was a vehicle strike associated with his murder. So the Alec Murdaugh sort of hushed it up and got that case put away. But then on the heels of Alex killing his family, his wife and his son, new information came to light as it related to Stephen Smith. And I just assumed like, oh, it had something to do with the phones. When they looked at the phones, they found something related to Stephen Smith. No, turns out the night of the Alec Murdaugh case, the night that Alex killed his wife, apparently some police officer was like, oh, no, he did this. He's going down. I'm not being involved. And so that police officer released a police report that had previously been written but not handed out. I'm not given to the proper authorities or whatever, that gave more information about the Stephen Smith case. Well, Stephen Smith's case was hushed up. He was buried. Nobody was talking about it except for his mama, Sandy Smith. And she was like, justice for my son. And she deserves justice for her son. Well, she raised money on the heels of Alex Murdaugh's conviction. She was like, let's keep this momentum going and find out why this dude hushed up my son's murder. Stephen Smith had a boyfriend named Mark. Some people say Mark says I was his boyfriend. The family was like, that was not his boyfriend. But in Stephen Smith's car, they found a parking pass that got him into Mark's complex, his apartment complex. And after Stephen Smith died, Mark was around talking to the police. He was all up in the business, but everybody was shooing him away. Turns out Mark is also a drug addict, a recovering drug addict, an alleged drug addict. Mark has some close ties to drugs. It makes sense to me. Now, keep in mind, this is all gossip, rumor, innuendo, and merely my speculation. So just put an allegedly in front of everything that I have said and will say in your mind. Mark has some close ties to drugs, and so I suspect that Stephen Smith's murder was associated with Alex Murdaugh on the drug front, not on the Buster Murdaugh front. Although it's a small town, there may be some crossover. Anyway, a bunch of money got raised in the GoFundMe, and this weekend they secretly exhumed Stephen Smith's body with the help of SLED. That's the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. Stephen Smith's body was exhumed, flown to Florida for a new autopsy where SLED was in attendance. All these different pathologists or whatever were in attendance. And Kenny Kinsey from the Alec Murdaugh case, he was like he's a doctor, Dr. Kenny Kinsey, but he's real folksy and sweet. Everybody loved Kenny Kinsey. I loved Kenny Kinsey too. He was the guy who was like specializing in all the guns. He's on the case, and I trust Dr. Kinsey to get to the bottom of what happened. So Stephen was exhumed, flown to Florida. A new autopsy was done. He was flown back to South Carolina and reinterred. Now he's resting peacefully there next to his father, Joel. Turns out also, Stephen, he was in nursing school, but he really ultimately wanted to be a doctor. So to honor his wishes, his family buried him in scrubs with a little name tag or whatever that said, Dr. Stephen Smith. Isn't that sweet? Also, after 5 years in ground, like, what does your body look like? But if he was embalmed, probably looked just like the day he went in there. Maybe his hair was mussed or something like that. I don't know. I don't even think I want to know. Anyway, Stephen had a little trip to Florida. He's back there in South Carolina and everything is good. And so now hopefully we will get to the bottom of the Stephen Smith case and how it relates to the Alex Murdaugh case. And what does this Mark have to do with anything? The family didn't know Mark, but Mark was a friend of Stevens. And Steven was apparently doing some sex work. Make your money, boo. Not my business, but more will be revealed. I'm dying to find out. All right. Y'all have a great day. Bye.